Hey guys, this is Erica from ericaelsewhere.com. Congratulations, you've made it this far, which means that you're a serious Spanish student. So let's wrap up this three-part series of how I learned fluent Spanish and how you can do the same. If you've been following along so far, you've started to build your vocabulary, you've gotten your ear used to hearing Spanish, your tongue is used to speaking it, you're including some reading, maybe some writing exercises to really work on that retention of information. So now we only have 2 steps left. Begin speaking Spanish with native or fluent Spanish speakers. I know this is intimidating for many of us. It definitely was for me, like seriously. But it's something that we have to do. We have to take everything that we're learning and apply it to the real world. So in my case, I took advantage of all of my new friends in our Spanish-speaking congregation, the community that I was now a part of. And there are lots of ways that you can do the same thing. You may have neighbors, friends, family members that will be so gracious as to allow you to speak to them in Spanish. Tell them to only speak to you in Spanish. Yes, sometimes you will have to ask them to repeat. Yes, sometimes you will have to ask them to speak more slowly. Yes, sometimes they'll have to use a lot of body language to communicate what they're trying to say to you. But trust me, it is worth it. Some of you would have been learning Spanish for 5 minutes and you're already off talking to people around you, which is amazing. You guys are the ones that are going to progress faster. But some of us, including me, we're just not like that. I had to take things slowly. I just had to get past all of those feelings of embarrassment or what if I make a mistake, because you are going to make a mistake. You should be speaking very, very soon into your journey of learning Spanish. You have to start speaking with people. So most of what you say is going to be a mistake, and that is okay. You have to learn to accept that. It's part of learning a language, and it's going to be so worth it in the end. Now, if you don't have a lot of Spanish speakers in your community, or you simply want additional practice, then there are other options. I personally love italki. It's amazing. There are a lot of online tutor platforms where you can speak to a native speaker or a fluent Spanish speaker. What I like about italki in particular is all of the options. Maybe you're trying to learn a specific accent, so you can choose what country you want your tutor to be from. You can choose whether they specialize in adults or children. You can choose what other languages you would like them to speak. Maybe you prefer for them to speak some English so that they can help translate some phrases that you're not familiar with. Although that's not the ideal way to learn. So even if your tutor does speak English, I highly recommend you have them speak to you 100% in Spanish. This is complete immersion, guys. This is the fastest way to learn. But if you wish, you can choose a tutor who speaks English. You can choose a tutor who does not speak English. Maybe you're more comfortable if your tutor doesn't speak much English in the same way that you don't speak much Spanish. Maybe you feel like that puts you like on equal playing field, so to speak. Instead of choosing someone who speaks 8 languages and you're just beginning to work on your second and you're like, I'm a total loser right now. So basically just go with whatever you want. There are so many options. Have a look at the website. I have linked it down below in the description box. Take a look around, check out the options. One of the best things about italki, honestly, is the price. You can find a tutor for $3.50 an hour and up. It's really amazing. So just check out your options. You'll have a full view of that person's history, what their qualifications are, their star rating. So that's definitely an awesome option to begin speaking the language as often as you need to. So in my case, when I started getting serious about Spanish, I was pretty young. I was finishing up middle school, going into high school, and I had actually started school through distance learning by that point. So I had a Spanish class where I had some videos, namely a lot of Destinos videos. If you guys have heard about that series, I've talked about it in a previous video. It really helped me along with the lessons. Most of my lessons in the beginning were based on Destinos. I had to pay attention to the videos, answer questions. I remember having to record my Spanish and send it over to the teacher digitally. And I remember her being so impressed that I was just beginning to learn and I seemed to be acquiring the language so well. One of the reasons is that I was really, at this point, starting to focus on grammar, starting to put everything together, put all of the pieces that were floating around in my head from the reading, from everything else that I had been doing up until that point to learn Spanish. I really tried to put it all together and make sentences that made sense, that were correct. All of that study helped me a lot. I learned the most common verbs, how to conjugate them, you know, all of those things that we typically think about when we think about learning Spanish, that people put all of their focus on. I'm not saying put all of your focus on this. That's why I have left it until the end. But some formal study is very important. Why? It's going to help you with grammar. You don't want to be that gringo who's always saying things like Jose ir al mercado and things like that. We have to get our grammar correct at some point. Now, should that stop you from speaking to Spanish speakers, mistakes and all? Of course not. We just discussed that you have to put yourself out there as soon as possible. But in the background, you want to be working on improving your pronunciation, your grammar, all of those little nuances of a language. Formal study is important also because it kind of helps you gauge your progress and helps you fill in gaps. There may be really important verbs that you just hadn't come across yet. While you were reading, while you were watching movies, while you were doing your dictations, there may be things you simply haven't come across yet that are really important for everyday speech. A good Spanish course is going to help you cover all of those gaps. So what is a good Spanish course? What does it have to include? Well, it shouldn't be boring, because if it's boring, guess what? You're not going to do it. No matter how excited you start out, you're just not going to do it if it's too boring. And I have seen some boring courses. Some put a lot of emphasis presenting grammar in a way that it's conjugation list, vocabulary list, drills. I mean, all of that has its place, but it's not a good way of obtaining information. We have learned in this entire series that everything we do needs to be in context in order for it to stick, especially at this point as adults. So a good Spanish course would include real life conversations, because honestly, how often have you had to say today, the black cat is under my table? I haven't said that at all today. A serious bonus is if the course includes some cultural studies. You'll be surprised as you start learning a language how the culture affects the language and vice versa. It's more difficult to learn one without the other. So including some cultural studies and really understanding kind of some of the history of the language and the people who speak that language is really going to go a long way in helping you appreciate and learn the language. So the course that I am most recommending now, that I have been for quite a while, is Rocket Spanish from Rocket Languages. Rocket Languages actually has several languages available, but specifically for Rocket Spanish, it's helped a lot of people. It's kind of taking the world by storm right now, but for good reason. It has a lot going for it. The lessons are fun. The lessons are real conversation. It has a voice recognition system that even though you don't have a teacher right in front of you to correct your mistakes, you can at least get an idea of how good your pronunciation is, because the voice recognition system will give you a score from 0 to 100% to how well you pronounced whatever phrase that you were supposed to be saying there. It has cultural lessons, which I think is fantastic. It teaches vocabulary through a number of different methods, including flashcards and things to help the memory. Give it a try. I have the link here down in the description box. The best part of all is that Rocket Languages offers a 7-day free trial so that you can get into the system and see if you like it or not. See how well you engage with it. Now, this is not a 7-day give me your credit card and let's hope that you forget that you were supposed to cancel that by the 8th day. No, no credit card required. It's completely free. You have nothing to lose. I have the link here in the description box. Give it a try and see how well it goes. All right, guys, that is all for this series. Thank you so much for being with me. I hope these 6 methods that we've discussed really launch you forward in your Spanish learning journey. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If this information has been of benefit to you, give me a big fat thumbs up and hit that notification bell so that you are notified every time I upload a video. We're going to be talking about language learning, raising bilingual children, and life as an expat in Mexico. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
CY